This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the show. It is the 5th of July, 2023, and it's time for the mailbag, which means it's time for you to tell me what you thought about this week in WWE. I'm imagining a lot of the focus is going to be on Money in the Bank, so we're going to get to that, and looking ahead to SummerSlam, which, as I say every time, will be here before you know it. And here's the thing, guys, not to be depressing, but once SummerSlam hits, summer is, it's not over, but it feels like it's over after SummerSlam. Now, SummerSlam is a few weeks earlier than normal, but still, I just have this knee-jerk reaction that every time SummerSlam comes and goes, oh my God, it's, summer's over, here we go, fall, winter, back into 13 months of cold. So, I don't know, maybe it's just the dread I feel after SummerSlam living up here in the Northeast. I'm not sure what it is, but all right. If you guys want an ad-free version of the show, patreon.com/WWE Podcast is the place to go, or Apple Podcasts. If you can click the ad-free button, that is a great way to get an ad-free experience. WWEpodcast.com. You can also go VIP there, or you can go to WWEpodcastshop.com and get your merch. And follow us on Twitter at the WWE Podcast. We're verified, so check us out. Okay, let's get to it. Let's get to it. I'm going to start with we're going to start with one of our finest patrons, Mr. Rocky T.
Hey, yo, it's me. It's me.
It's Rocky T.
All right, Rocky T, what do you got for me? So he says, Civil War match. First, did anyone notice how short the referee was when the Bloodline did face off before the match started? I couldn't help but to keep thinking, how is this referee going to handle arguably the biggest tag team match of the year? I didn't notice that, Rocky. And I don't mean this out of disrespect, but it's just kind of a reality, is referees tend to be invisible in the matches, even though they're on camera. As long as the competitors are, they often are invisible. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but the focus isn't on the referee. However, if the height difference was that hilarious, I'm going to go back and look. Second, has anyone noticed how the Usos' hair has been fading little by little for months? No. What do you mean? When you say fading, do you mean falling out? Getting shorter? Color changing? I'm not sure. After Elimination Chamber, Jay was off TV for a bit, and when he returned, his hair was starting to fade. After Jay turned on Sammy, he dyed his hair again, and the Usos were supporting the red hair in unison again through WrestleMania until Night of Champions, which was about a month ago. Mrs. Rocky T, the elite hairstylist, informed me that a color that bright and vibrant has to be touched up about once a month. So the Usos not touching up the color of their hair for Money in the Bank is really symbolic of the falling apart of the Bloodline. Also, the Usos wore their white Nikes instead of all red shoes for this match. I never dove into that deep of symbolism. I don't know if they did, meaning the Usos did. Maybe they did, and it's possible that that's the purpose of it. It could be also just coincidence. I'm going to go with the more fun determination that it's purposeful, and that makes it a lot more fun. So great observation, Mr. and Mrs. Rocky T. I would have never, ever seen this or known. I knew they obviously changed their shirts from black to white, and white is symbolic of the good guys, and black is typically symbolic of the evildoers. So, but for great observations. So about Shayna turning on Ronda. I didn't even think this was a heel turn. I believe Shayna actually turned babyface with the attack on Ronda, especially after the promo she cut this week. Can you think of another time where a tag team partner actually turning on them made them a face instead of a heel? Only thing that comes to mind for me was HBK turning on Cena when they were tag champs, but they were a babyface team. Yeah, my first thought was Becky turning on Charlotte at SummerSlam 2018, the infamous Becky heel turn that turned into the biggest babyface run of the women's division ever in the history of pro wrestling. but they weren't actually tag team partners. They were competitors in the match, but quote unquote friends behind the scenes. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Again, it's not a team. I understand that, but same dynamic here when it was, I think, designed the opposite way, where Becky was supposed to turn heel, and it obviously exploded the opposite way. Yeah, it could be that Shayna is babyface. I honestly don't. You could make an argument for both, because Shayna turning on Ronda would mean that Ronda would be a babyface in a normal world, right? And you'd want to see Ronda Rousey get revenge on Shayna. But I don't know what's happening here. The crowd was mixed. I don't know how to feel. I don't know. I think ultimately you're right. It probably will be a babyface turn, but I don't think WWE knows. I think they are going to take this week by week and see what the consistent reaction is and then roll with that, because you could make a case either way and see what the crowd organically gravitates to, which right now seems to be Shayna, leaning Shayna. All right. Thank you so much, Rocky T. Let's go to Thomas Franco. You guys remember him? He actually did the Elimination Chamber review with me after one of the most amazing matches of the year with Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship that took place in February. He did the review show with me. So he writes in and says, "It's been a while since I wrote in. The weather in Montreal is getting a lot nicer, and I'm prepping for my regional competition in powerlifting that takes place July 22nd. Well, first of all, very cool. Powerlifting is no joke. Not that I ever partook in any of it. I was more recreational. Not that I can't lift as much as I used to. I actually used to be able to, and this is, my God, probably when I was 25, 26, I could bench like 375. And now it's, I don't know if I could crack 3, right? It's, but anyway, yeah, I'm not into the deadlifting and stuff. That takes dedication, man. I have respect for that. So good luck with that. Money in the Bank was probably top 3 events for me for the year. WrestleMania, Elimination Chamber were my first and second. Yeah, understandably. Apparently the reason Ronda and Shayna split is because Ronda was a hard out in her deal with WWE. So she can essentially back out at any moment and give her last date for when she'll work with WWE. The rumor is that Ronda might be making a UFC comeback since longtime veteran Amanda Nunes just recently retired. This leads me to believe that Ronda versus Shayna will happen at SummerSlam, and Ronda will put Shayna over so we can slowly start to get the Shayna we had in NXT. I'm also assuming they'll have Shayna as a babyface. Okay, so there's 2 for 2 here on the side of Shayna being a babyface. And if you're right about Ronda going back to UFC, I mean, okay, good riddance. I mean, I appreciate everything she contributed to WWE, but WWE doesn't need her anymore. She needs WWE more than they need her. That time has long since passed us by. There was a time when she felt like the whole division, right? Leading up to WrestleMania 35 with the rise of Becky Lynch and Charlotte being shoehorned into the main event, which is still egregious to me. But you're probably right. But here's one thing I would ask of WWE, because I know they listen to me, is can we, for the love of God, please just get a one-on-one Becky Ronda match? Please. It's been 5 years and we still haven't gotten it. How? So that's the only thing I ask, and then she can ride off into the sunset, never to return. I really would not miss her one bit. Okay. The Bloodline story. Where do I begin? Absolute cinema as always, with Jay versus Roman at SummerSlam being the likely destination. I'd really love to see Jay win the belt. Somehow I think Roman will steal the win, with Solo turning on Roman and setting up Roman versus Solo at Payback. This is all speculation, but would be so fun to see, and I'm really wondering how much longer they can push this story out. That's all for me. Keep up the great work. I'll message you closer to mid-August for the live in-person Raw review from Quebec City. Cool. Well, yeah, please remind me. I tell everybody that because I get those reminders and I'm like, oh, did I say that? I guess I must have, because you're messaging me, right? That's why I tell you. There's zero chance of me remembering. So Please do. I'm putting it on you guys. Thank you. So, Jay is probably not going to win. There's a case to be made for him to win, a strong case. But ultimately, do I think Jay's going to beat Roman at this point, at this juncture on July 5th? No. Maybe that changes in the weeks where they convince me otherwise. But early prediction, I don't think Jay's going to win. And Solo turning on Roman at SummerSlam could be something big. And I'm not going to mention the name of the individual because I don't mention his name unless I am provoked or directly asked, or it just happens and then I have to address it. But you know who could show up at SummerSlam and lead to a SummerSlam to Mania build. I'll leave it at that for you to guess who that is. I really have swore off saying his name until I'm directly asked. Okay. Very cool. All right. Thank you, Thomas. Let's see who we got. What other patrons we have. By the way, guys, all patrons get priority in this show. So you guys can, if you want to join on Patreon, that's one of the perks. You don't have to wait for your email. You're up front. Skip the line, as they say. Speaking of somebody that skips the line every week, Mr. DJ Kuzmo. And he says, hello, AEW and WWE podcast world. The Money in the Bank crowd. The Money in the Bank crowd was absolutely amazing. From start to finish, this crowd was very lively and pump. Shout out to Grim Reaper for clarifying for me what the London crowd was saying during the Bloodline Civil War match, where Roman was being taunted mercilessly. One of the lines the crowd said was, stand up if you hate Roman, and the other was so hilarious, was when the crowd said, shoes off if you hate Roman. I literally thought the crowd was going to throw their shoes at Roman. Oh man, I love this London crowd. I heard the stand up if you hate Roman. I didn't hear the shoes off one. I always think that they are doing their typical chants they do at any other sporting event, and they just bring them to wrestling, and I go, I don't know what they're saying anyway. And oftentimes I think also the accent, the heavy accent of 18,000 people with an accent doesn't help, because I am sitting there going, what? But yeah, imagine WrestleMania in London. I am all for it. I'm from the US. We've had enough WrestleManias here. It's time to give that crowd what it deserves. And a WrestleMania 41 in London, I'm calling it now. Earlier before the main event, John Cena came out, kind of random, and teased the possibility of WrestleMania in London. Imagine that WrestleMania UK, aka WrestleMania London, and let's say 2 to 5 years from now with the most likely night one and night two. Oh yeah, dude. I mean, they are going to have 2 nights of WrestleMania. If they're going there, they are keeping the 2-night format. No questions about it. I don't know, 2 to 5 years. Again, I'd say 2 at the most. I don't know. 5 years seems a long time. They don't have a WrestleMania 41 location. 40 obviously is locked into Philly. But what about WrestleMania 41? Anybody know of any destinations they're looking at right now? But to me, WrestleMania 41 is probable. WrestleMania 42 is very likely. I mean, they wouldn't tell it or tell everybody if it was 5 years away, because then they'd be like, oh, what the hell? What was that all about a couple years ago? Remember when John Cena came out and told us we're going to get WrestleMania, and then it's been 5 years, right? I don't think they'd wait that long. Okay, my question is, who would you want to see as the main event if Roman is no longer the champion at that point? Oh, good question. It's not a question that we've had to really think about, is it? Not a question that we've even had to ponder for 3.5 years. But it's something that eventually we're going to have to address. Who would I want to see in the main event if Roman is no longer champion and doing something else? What's LA Knight doing? I mean, we don't know the rest of the lay of the land. I guess if you mean at this very moment, if Roman's out of the main event, he's stripped of the title and just kind of goes to obscurity. Who would I want? Man, I mean, of course, Seth, but if you're talking SmackDown, LA Knight, it'd be, number 1, Gunther, number 2, right? If there's a shakeup, Cody could be in the mix, call-ups from NXT could happen. Braun Breaker, we keep hearing that name. That's a good one. That's a hell of a question. Speaking of Roman, I gotta say, I've never seen in all my years of watching pro wrestling a portrayed heel showing so much vulnerability. During the match when the Usos kicked out of the double pin from Roman couldn't believe it and his facials said it all with the shock and grief all at once. Roman definitely knows how to create a specific emotion on a dime, and this is the making of a solid Hollywood actor. Feeling some sort of sympathy for a betrayed heel is something that I've never seen before, because for the most part, my assumption of heel in pro wrestling is that they never show weakness. When was the last time... I lost my spot here. Oh, when was the last time that a portrayed heel in pro wrestling asked the crowd to acknowledge me, to feel accepted from the audience, and have the audience cling to every word the heel says? I'm looking at this downfall for Roman right now as a way to build him back up as a babyface from a long-term storyline perspective when he finally drops the title and his reign of dominance ends. Yeah, look, they are right now, I think, at the very beginning, just the beginning stages of turning Roman babyface. They're not done yet. Okay, there are still stories to tell that have not been told yet with Roman as a heel. Because you want to get everything out of that heel run as much as you can, because once you turn him babyface, the field changes of people he can work with. So who are those people? I would think still Cody Rhodes. You got to get back to that, and Cody's got to be the babyface. Randy Orton, that storyline tells itself. Bray Wyatt, I think Bray Wyatt would absolutely be the babyface in that interaction. I would think, obviously, Mr. Hollywood. I'll leave it at that and say nothing more. So there are guys that he still has yet to re-interact with. Maybe another Sammy match in there, right? So there are big-time matches that you still want to give the fans and give the product before you turn him babyface. But this is the foundation being laid for the eventual babyface turn. You're right. And his ability to show emotion and bring you on that ride with just his facials are very telling, and showing sympathy and feeling emotion for him, because it's almost, I interpreted it as he's going through the pain of having to beat up his family and knowing that they weren't, they kicked out. That means he's going to have to inflict more punishment on his own family to win. That's how I read into it, which is a babyface emotion. Again, no words, just all facials, and that's a credit to him. And is he essentially doing a audition every single time he's out there for Hollywood? Maybe. I would be. He's thinking beyond wrestling. So, good for him. I don't want to get too deep here from a psychological standpoint, but the character development arc of Roman being looked on as invincible to now being broken has been great. And interesting to see this Friday on SmackDown with a tribal court trial against him. What happens next as his downfall continues? DJ Kuzmos signing off. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, every time you think that, the bloodline's dead, it's going to be gone. Guys, I have to remind you, it ain't dead. It is not gone. And even when this version of the bloodline ends, we haven't even touched the babyface version of a reunion of this group when they turned babyface and helped Roman. That hasn't even been explored yet. Guys, we're not even halfway through. Isn't that insane? I'm not saying halfway through his Roman Reigns' run. I'm saying halfway through of the bloodline existing in one form or another. So that's just something to keep in mind. All right. Where are we going next? Where do we want to go? All right. We're going to go to Darren. And he says, hey, Matt. Wow, Money in the Bank was great. I was really impressed with the women's match. Some great spots like Zelina's Code Red and Becky's manhandle slam to Trish on the ladder looked brutal. One thing I didn't also mention, this is me speaking, is the bumps that both the men and the women took on the ladders that didn't break. Oh my God. Even Logan Paul, was it a splash to Ricochet or somebody on a ladder that didn't break? How many ladders didn't break? Oh, everybody from the women to the men. My God. Okay. Back to your email. The Bloodline Civil War was an awesome match, and I was stunned with when the referee's hand hit the mat for 3. Me too. I mean, who wasn't? How many times did we see those 2 false finishes of Roman stacking the Usos and then the spear on Jay for the second time? Who didn't think that was over? So well booked. This storyline has really just been touched by magic. Anyway, my question is about Cody Rhodes. He said that winning the World Heavyweight Championship would not finish his story. So what do you think the road to him winning the WWE Championship is? Him being on Raw seems to mean it could be a long time. Thank you, Darren. Okay, I didn't hear Cody say that. That winning the World Heavyweight Championship would not finish his story. I don't know why he would say that, because wouldn't that to me would devalue the belt that Seth is carrying by saying, it's not as important as the one I really want. So, however, I'll take it at face value. I don't think you're lying. But so let's take that at face value that Cody did say that. How does Cody get to the WWE undisputed WWE Universal Championship? How does he get to that with Roman? Simple. Two things, really. One, they could have him win the Rumble again, and or have a trade. You could do a massive trade. I don't know why they don't ever do those. I think a blockbuster trade announcement being announced or rumored for a couple of weeks would keep people interested. So you could have a massive trade between brands. Or what about this? Have just Cody show up because WWE doesn't give a damn about their brand rules. Their draft rules don't apply ever consistently or strictly. They have not gone more than a week where they don't have someone show up randomly, or they're a guest or just there with no explanation. Just, it happens so often. Would anybody even really see, the need for WWE to explain it? Sadly, it's, I don't know, it's frustrating, but that's how it happens. Many ways. Just because they're on separate brands, it should mean something. It should be difficult for them to cross paths again, but it's not, because they make it so. All right. Thank you, Darren. Let's get to what we want to get to. Let's get to Chandler. And he says he's sending this in from a beautiful Wednesday on Daytona Beach. Do you really have to say that? Do you really got to say Daytona Beach? I was actually there a couple of years ago when WrestleMania 33 came to Orlando. I went to Daytona for a day. Really fun place. Traffic is insane and there's nowhere to park, but fun place. Okay, got a few bullet points I want to talk about, so let's get to it. How in the world did WWE mess this up? In what world is Damian a better decision to win Money in the Bank than LA Knight? But since this is a PG show, I'm going to stop talking about it. I'm going to guess that a few four-letter words were going to follow that. But, as I mentioned, this is not the end of the road for LA Knight. Isn't support going to grow even more because he didn't win? The answer is probably yes. When LA Knight's music hits on Friday night, you don't think the crowd's going to go crazy and be even more loud to let WWE know they disapprove of their decision? It'll work for him, not against him. And as exciting as it would have been for LA Knight to win, and there are reasons that he should have won, but I think that this will help him long term, because if he had won, do you really want LA Knight to win his first major championship at the most advantageous time instead of actually proving he can hang? There's still work to be done. It's been a fun ride for the LA Knight train, but we're not nearly done laying the foundation. And I think he needs more time to cook as well. Not that he's not a seasoned guy. He's got the age. He's got the experience in the pro wrestling industry. But I think knowing how to handle the crowd, work a crowd that isn't that much support of him, laying the groundwork, having a long-term plan, it's just because this particular path didn't work out for him doesn't mean it's the end of his career. In fact, I would say that things are just beginning, and Triple H even said that in the post-press conference. Okay, Drew returning at Money in the Bank was a good surprise, and one that needed to lift the spirits of the Money in the Bank match. Whoever beats Gunther needs to be someone who is already established or someone where they're trying to establish as a new star. Drew is somewhat in both of these categories as a former champ, and while it's been a while since he's held gold, agree. The Bloodline story keeps getting better and better. Jay pinning Roman was icing on the cake, and now the Tribal Court on Monday is going to be good. I think you mean Friday, but sure. I could see them planting seeds for Rock Roman, not Rock returning, but them just teasing it for now. I mean, you said his name, so yeah. I think that they could plant seeds as soon as SummerSlam, where it's clear where they're headed, where The Rock doesn't even come out at SummerSlam, but they start to hint towards things that would line up nicely. So I'll leave it at that. Cena versus Waller needs to happen. The promos would be incredible, and the match wouldn't be bad either. Yeah, I don't think it's a must for me. You know, Cena did his give back match with Austin Theory that kind of under-delivered, to be honest with you. And to be totally honest, I say that a lot, but it's true. It has done more harm than good so far for Theory. In fact, what was supposed to be used for him to be a platform to move to that next level has done anything but for Austin Theory. Like, think about it. What has Austin Theory done since WrestleMania? How do you think of him any differently? No. It has not been good, but not that it's not repairable. But also, Waller, here's the thing. If John Cena only has X number of matches left in his body, I don't want it being wasted on Grayson Waller. No disrespect to Waller, but if you've only got a handful of matches left with Cena, you gotta make them really count and either be against guys that you are nearly certain will be main eventers that need the rub from Cena, or legacy stars like Edge versus John Cena, which I have continued to push for the last year. So, yeah, that's how I think about that. I'm just confused as to why the Tag Team Championship match was on SmackDown and not on the PLE. Seems like some sort of Vince's doings. But WWE fans say that every time something we don't like happens. Yeah, exactly. See, that's the thing. I'm with you. Everything we don't like is because Vince is behind the scenes, sitting there in a basement like muhaha. Everything good is because of Triple H. That's just not the case. It's not fair to Vince either. We don't know how exactly involved Vince is. He has some impact, no doubt. But what if some of the greatest things, what if some of the things that were awesome at Money in the Bank were actually because of Vince? Would that change a lot of people's perspective and be like, oh, well, it's not so awesome now? You can't do that, right? But that Shayna turn on Ronda was a good twist. I read somewhere that Ronda is leaving soon, and that's why they did that. I didn't see the segment on Raw, so I don't know if they're trying to who they're trying to position as the heel and babyface. It would be a lot easier to get Shayna over as a babyface, considering no one likes Ronda. Back to her leaving, though, I can't see myself getting upset over the fact that she's leaving. But we still never got Becky and Ronda one-on-one. Well, I mean, bro, you took the words out of my mouth. I obviously went over that a few minutes ago. And more consensus that Ronda Rousey's on the way out. I'm not going to repeat myself other than to say, see previous comments. And I agree. Okay, that London crowd was hot, but since the email's already long, I won't go into too much detail. Sorry for long email. I've had a lot of time to relax and think this week on vacation. Only said that to make you jealous. Yeah, well, congratulations, Chandler. You are now banned from the show. All right, let's keep it rolling. Where we want to go. Let's go to Diego from Honduras, Central America. Let's see what he's got to say. Let me talk to you. Well, that's a good way to start, Diego. Just wanted to share my take on why Roman carrying 3 belts is perfect in wrestling lore. Roman's character is a narcissistic megalomaniac that's drunk with power. That is why it makes sense that he would want to carry the belt, every belt that he can get his hands on. It just fits his character perfectly. I understand. Look, no, I understand the reasons. Yeah, and it's a great photo op, and it makes him even look more dominant. But in the grand scheme of things, now it looks like the men have 4 belts. 4 top belts? What? I mean, I don't like that. Just the visual of 3 or 4 physical belts existing, even though I understand they're 2 championships, but 4 physical belts in existence. Number one, doesn't make mathematical sense if there's 2 championships, but also from just a visual standpoint, devalues every single one of those belts that do exist because there's more of them. And I understand what you're saying, but at some point, I would think that why even introduce the one that Triple H just did? If Paul Heyman's just going to hold on to them, why? It's frustrating, and it's only 1 championship represented by 3 belts now. I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. It's not that I don't understand it. I just don't agree with it. Okay, I've been a fan of LA Knight since his arrival in NXT. The dude just has it. I knew he probably wasn't going to win the Money in the Bank contract, but that's fine since I've always thought that the winner should be the one that needs it the most, and he certainly doesn't need it to keep on being over. I think Damian was a good choice. He's good on the mic, in the ring, and has the look, but he was still missing something that would have taken him to that main event level, and the briefcase might just be it. As always, thank you for doing a great job, and please try not to be picky about unimportant details like Heyman's iPhone skills. You'll enjoy shows more. That's not an insult, just a fact of life. Yeah. Are you kind of promo on me? There's only one megastar right now, all right? And you're looking at him. All right. Hey, I'm commenting on what I see. And you can't tell me there hasn't been a whole lot of Paul Heyman speaking into his iPhone segments. It wasn't just a one-off. We see Paul Heyman telling his iPhone to call Roman Reigns every 5 minutes. So I'm spending probably the appropriate percentage of time talking about it because that's how often we see it. Okay? Like, I mean, it's not something that is taking away from the show for me. It's not that I'm saying, whoa, if it wasn't for that, I would have enjoyed the show more. No. But when it's something just so silly and egregious that you can easily fix it just by having Paul Heyman take a basic iPhone course, it would be so much, I guess, less silly. Okay. Anyway. But as far as, the LA Knight thing and Damian being a good choice. Yeah, Damian is a good choice. He was a lot of people's second choices in their lists of probables, and he's a good choice. It's a heel prize. It's a heel driven prize. And Damian, in a way, does need it more than Knight because Knight's already over without it. Damian wasn't as over as Knight and isn't as over as Knight, I should say, currently as we speak. So that, you're right. That's a good way to put it, is who needs it more? And I think you're absolutely right. It's a great way to frame it, Diego. Who needs it more? And who needs it more and needed it more at that time just a few days ago is is Damian Priest. You're right. Because now LA Knight's already on the trajectory. He's already got the rocket ship strapped to him, whether WWE wants him to or not. And the fans need to react appropriately and continue to support him. All right. Thanks, Diego. Where we going? Let's I'm not sure who this is. This is Mason. I don't have your last name, but that's okay. I know last week I asked if Valhalla was ever going to fight, and then she did this week on Raw in the Viking Raiders versus the Alpha Academy and Maxine Dupree. She did get destroyed by Maxine, but she did fight, so yeah. I think Finn Balor might get split from the Judgment Day because of what he did on Raw, preventing Damian's cash-in. Also, if the listeners want to participate in this question, just send it in the mailbag. The question is there someone's finish you think they should change, and to what? Ooh, I like that. So Mason's question to everybody out there. It's a good one. Write in for next week's mailbag. Whose finish do you think they should change? And if they should change it, what should they change it to? I like that. Valhalla in a match. Didn't see that coming. Nor did I see Maxine Dupree getting the victory. But Finn Balor splitting from the Judgment Day is an absolute certainty. I don't think, though, it's going to happen as quickly as you think it is, though. I believe it's going to be maybe probably more towards SummerSlam. It seems as if you're implying it's going to happen right away. And, the big blow off, the big explosion might happen between Finn and Damian at SummerSlam. Just a thought. But thanks so much, Mason. Let's get to... we don't have too many more, guys, I promise. Let's get to Michael. It's King Scully in the house. He's representing the UK. Not just today, but all day. And he says, Money in the Bank London was class. Even though it was on at a normal time here in the UK, I didn't get to watch it live, but I did watch it the next day. Yeah, first of all, when you say normal time, how many times have you guys had to deal with weird times to watch Raw or SmackDown if you want to watch it live anyway? So to you, this is like the 0.001% of the time you get to watch an event, quote, on normal time, while the rest of us are like, this is a weird time. And everyone in London's like, yeah, welcome to the party 99.9% of the time, right? All right. There were a few painful moments throughout the show. The dodgy spot with Logan and Ricochet, the Oblivion by Liv botch, and Zoe Stark smashing the ladder. Ouch. Yeah, dude. I was sitting there. It takes you out of the moment, but in a way that makes you concerned for the human being. I mean, yeah, sure. I don't like Ronda Rousey, but I still was concerned about her health at that point with the botch. And the same thing for Logan Paul. You know, you're watching to see if he's at least moving, and they don't put up the X sign. That was a dangerous spot, man. I was sit there and you know, not that you know these people on a personal level, but you're emotionally invested in wrestling, and therefore you do have some kind of emotional connection even with people you don't know. It's weird, right? But you're sitting there going, oh my God, you know, it was scary. No doubt about it. Was it me, or did Trish look awkward in the match? Yes, she sold moves okay, but to me it seemed like she struggled. I have to admit I like Zoe Stark though. Yeah. But here's the thing. What was everyone's expectations of Trish? I think she took some bumps she didn't need to. She's the oldest person in that match by a mile. And this was her first Money in the Bank ladder match. And my bar for her was very low. Yes, she may have looked awkward, but that's only because everyone else is so much better, because women's wrestling has evolved so much further than when Trish left it. And no, don't get me wrong. Trish blazed a path, and she was one of the most respectable parts of women's wrestling when women's wrestling was just objectified and sexified. So, I mean, hey, I give Trish credit. And she, again, so check out some of the bumps she took. She may have been awkward at times, but again, not being in those matches, she just came back, you know, at least kind of in a part-time capacity, older woman. She, you know, hey, what more could you have expected out of her, right? So, okay, I didn't like the finish to the men's Money in the Bank. I think they should have went along with the fans with that one, even if it meant changing the winner. My fellow Brits were all over LA Knight. Kevin Nash has recently stated he's not a fan. That Knight is a ripoff of The Rock. Yes, we know he has similarities with Rock and Austin, but he makes it his own. Okay, so I've already talked about the LA Knight victory and the loss and why it's not a bad thing. So I'm going to skip that part. But the Nash thing, if anyone hasn't seen, Kevin Nash, I don't know if it was on Chris Van Vliet which by the way, great guy. He was on this show a couple years ago. I forget which podcast he was on, but basically he said that LA Knight is a direct ripoff of The Rock. And hey, do we see similarities? Yes. But I don't care if he comes out next week with a Hawaiian shirt, glasses, Gucci shoes, and grows out sideburns like Rock of 2000. I really don't care. You know why? Because whatever he's doing is working. So even if he was a direct copy of trying to be The Rock, like next week he literally just dives into it. He comes out to The Rock's music, right? And he starts using The Rock's catchphrases. I don't care. I don't care. Because number one, he's not The Rock. All right? And he does have some swagger about him. He feels like somebody that was in the Attitude Era that missed the Attitude Era by about 20 years, right? Actually, at this point, well, yeah, the Attitude Era was even before that. So about 20, 25 years. He missed it. But now you plop him in the PG era, and he's got that throwback feel. And I think that's what fans are seeing is, sure, he has similarities. Some of his jokes and insults are very Rock-esque, but I don't care. See, Nash cares because he looks at it as, well, he couldn't do whatever he's going to, he doesn't have his own gimmick. He's got to coattails off The Rock. If that was such a successful formula, wouldn't everyone do it to be successful and make money for the company and be the next star? No one's doing that, right? You may take things that work for you and implement it into your personality and your promos. Of course. Why wouldn't you? And if it works, who the hell cares? LA Knight has gotten over, and he's going to continue to get over, regardless of whether or not Kevin Nash says, well, he's a rip-off of The Rock. I don't get it. Blah, blah. Go fix another knee there, Kevin. All right? Go get another surgery or something. All right. Anyway. I think the Civil War match should have been more brutal. It was slow at times with what it meant and how emotionally invested everyone was, including fans. Family feuds should have more aggression. Does that make sense? If any match needed a stipulation, it was this. Overall, though, I liked the match. The ending was very good. Wasn't a fan of the kick out when receiving the Samoan spike and the spear at the same time. Yeah, that one was the one that really got me. You hit a double finish and he kicks out of both. I'm going to let it go only because of how high profile and successful this storyline has been. But I don't want to see this on a consistent basis. I don't want to see another Jay and Roman match and go, well, based on the last match, he kicked out of 3 finishes. It's going to take 4 this time. No. Like, I don't want that being instilled in us as fans. We need to be re-educated and reprogrammed to believe finishes are just that. And they're finishes. So that part I agree. I go, wait, cool. Wow, I didn't see that coming, but was that worth it, right? Ultimately, I think the answer is yes. But do I think it should have been more brutal? Well, it's the first time they've met, which means anytime that the 2 individuals or a team meet, it goes typically more often than not through the progression of regular match, no DQ match, and then something more brutal with a bigger stipulation. I'm not saying this tag team matchup is going to happen 2 more times, but the general rival right now is Jay and Jimmy. And I would imagine Jay is going to be the focal point heading into SummerSlam. And if that's the case, then sure, you could then go to a no DQ match and up the ante. But you don't want to go right to the extreme, right? And actually, if it's a family matter, wouldn't you actually want it to not be brutal to start? Because it's family, and you can see the emotions on their faces throughout the match of like, oh my God, just stay down, right? That both teams, maybe other than Solo, showed emotion of compassion and regret at times. Okay, quickie about Raw. I love Shayna Baszler, the promo on Raw. Ronda got a whooping again. Shayna deserves a push. She's one of those who will be competing or should be competing at the top of the women's division. She's been around for a while now. Loved Trish that she brought back the face mask. I enjoyed the Wrestle Magic podcast with Just Incredible, someone who I've spoken to briefly. Fair play, Rocky T and Michael Gross. I'd love to be on a pod, although I could write more. I don't want to go overboard, so I'll leave it at that. Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, everyone go check out the Just Incredible Wrestle Magic episode. He was all three guys did a great job with Justin. Just a great show. So credit to everyone there, and I was not involved. I don't need to be. See, I've done such a great job raising my my co-hosts, haven't I? All right. That said, no, they don't need my help. Trust me. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what more to say about Shayna and Ronda. The thing is, now we're getting into topics that everyone's talking about, and I don't want to repeat myself, so I'm just gonna read what you guys say. Okay. Alrighty. Let's not much more. I think we have one. I say one, but we know what happens when I do that. Okay, so I think this is the last one, and here's what it says. This is from Mark from Germany. And he says, "Hey, Matt, hope you remember me from 2 weeks ago. I was in London for SmackDown and the Money in the Bank with my son. It was an incredible experience, and we really enjoyed the shows. You know, my son's favorite wrestler is Cody Rhodes, followed by the Usos and John Cena. Before we flew in, he asked me multiple times if John Cena will be there, and I always told him there is no chance. Well, when Cena's music hit, we went completely crazy. Honestly, for us, it was some kind of a WrestleMania moment. He was so happy, he brought tears to my eyes. Anyway, I promised a loud and crazy crowd, and we delivered. SmackDown and the Money in the Bank were great shows. Can't wait for WrestleMania in a couple of years." Wow, that's awesome, Mark. Yeah, I mean, having a son myself, I haven't brought him to a wrestling show yet, but I can imagine the feeling there. It's really cool. So yeah, I mean, no one expected Cena to be there. So he must have absolutely, that's something I can tell. I don't know how old he is, but I would imagine he's old enough to form memories, and that would mean that he's probably never going to forget that moment. Neither will you. So, and it was WrestleMania. Some of those moments, like I said that on my Twitter, I said that this was the most WrestleMania a non-WrestleMania event has felt. It was just an amazing Money in the Bank. Probably, arguably, the best Money in the Bank event that they've ever put on ever since its existence. So just awesome. And thank you. I mean, just to all of London for delivering on a massive scale for the crowd reactions. You guys were insane. Absolutely insane. But very cool story, Mark. Very cool. Okay. So let's just double check, guys. I have a couple of places that I go just to make sure that no one has put in their last second emails. So let me do that quick. Oh, this one came from Instagram. That's why I knew that I felt like there was something, and I'm not going to mention the name because the person doesn't want me to mention the name, so I'm not going to. But this person said, on your Money in the Bank review show, I heard you talk about how you couldn't make out some of the chants. I don't think this will make the mailbag because of some non-PG nature of the chants, but, well, I'll do my best to PGize them. Some of the chants directed at Roman include, but are not limited to, tribal blanker W blank NKER, and Roman's blanker again, using the W word. And also, stand up if you hate Roman. And last but not least, F you, Roman. I did hear that. A chant directed at Grayson Waller is blanker, blanker, blanker. Not F, but the W version. It's a word, guys, that we don't use at all in the United States. Like, if you're from the United States and use the W word of W vowel, NKER, I mean, you're not from the United States. That's not a phrase, right? So you can figure out the word. However, there was some chants directed at Dominic, similar to the ones you directed at Roman, which include F you, Dom. I'm not sure if you noticed the way Jay kicked out of the spear using a low blow was the same way Roman kicked out against Jay at Clash of Champions 2020. Oh, see, you guys are smarter than me. I did not notice that. I don't even know if that was on purpose, but great observation. P.S. I'm not sure if that word W blank NKER is used a lot in the USA, but if you don't know what it means, it just means a man that likes to well, go look it up, guys. See, I'm PGizing this thing. I tried to email this, but for some reason it wasn't working. Okay. So, to the anonymous Instagram sender, thank you for explaining what these chants are in the most PG way possible. Alrighty. Good stuff. Okay, guys. You know where we're about to go. We're about to get to the Veer Mahan Report. It's delivered to you by DJ Kuzmo. So you guys ready? Let's do it.
Podcast world, this is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag show, recorded you live on a Wednesday morning. And before we get to the Veer Mahan Report, I gotta give a special shout out. I gotta give a special thank you to each and everybody that was down in the Discord chat this past Saturday for Money in the Bank. It was one of the most awesomest PLEs that we had so far this year, and it was great to have the interaction with all the patrons that was down in the Discord chat. So shout out to Grim Reaper, shout out to my guy also, Detroit Kyle, which of course none other than SummerSlam is coming to Detroit. So shout out to Detroit Kyle, shout out to everybody that was popping in and popping out. It was an awesome time to chat with y'all on a Saturday afternoon watching this memorable PLE. Oh my goodness, Roman Reigns gets pinned for the first time in 3.5 years. And what just happened with Ronda Rousey? She just got turned on by Shayna Baszler, but I don't want to talk about that because right now we got to get to your favorite show to come in every single week on the Mailbag, and I'm talking about the Veer Mahan Report. Now, the Veer Mahan Report took place this past Monday night on Monday Night Raw, but we did not get an appearance of the Indishare. We did not get an appearance of my guy, Veer Mahan. We did not get an appearance of Sangha, and we did not get an appearance of the modern-day Maharaja Jinder Mahal. But here is the update. All three of these men are in the gym. They are working out. They are getting themselves ready because this is the second half of 2023. Now, I know that they're still long a ways away from challenging the tag team champions, but hey, anything can happen, and I am so happy that these guys are on Monday Night Raw, and of course, none other than, of course, the Indishare. These guys are getting themselves ready, so every single day they're in the gym, whether it's outside, whether it's inside, they are working out, getting themselves ready, getting their muscles stripped, getting everything in check, because this second half of 2023, I hope to see more matches from the Indishare, and of course, none other than the modern day Maharaja He recently posted on his Instagram story that he just, a couple of months ago, he finally became a United States citizen. So shout out to the modern day Maharaja. After 13 years, he is finally a United States citizen. So with that being said, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay with my friends, and peace.
DJ, some extra energy tonight. All right. So, cool. Thanks for keeping us updated on the Indashir. I'm not concerned about it. They took a week off from television. Fine. I'm not worried because I believe, and I still stand by this, that they will be challenging or attacking Kevin and Sammy shortly after SummerSlam or at SummerSlam and then getting their opportunity. I don't know if they'll win, but I think they will be placed in a prominent position post SummerSlam. And good to hear that they're working out, right? I mean, those kinds of things. Jinder Mahal got his U.S. citizenship. That's awesome. You know, these kinds of things, I guarantee. How many people in the audience that listen to this knew that? Probably not many. That's why we have the Veer Mahan Report, brought to you by DJ Kuzmo, as always, every week. Thank you, DJ. Let's continue on.
This is the Roxanne Perez update. Not the Roxanne Perez report, but the Roxanne Perez update. Inspired by the Veer Mahan Report. I always want to say that 3 times. Sounds pretty cool. Anyways, this week on NXT, Roxanne Perez went one-on-one with Blair Davenport. It was a very competitive match. Unfortunately for me, Roxanne took the loss. A clean loss, I may add. Now, this is just to build up Blair as she is new to NXT, needed a quality win over a former champion, over an established NXT star. So, Roxanne Perez is basically paying her dues. So, she ain't going anywhere. She's not going anywhere anytime soon. Easy enough for me to say. So, we'll continue with the updates. But, I just wanted to let everybody know, again, don't forget about the WrestleMagic 5 episode that dropped last week with the interview with Just Incredible. And one more thing, Matt, don't forget to pencil in your boy Rocky T for the July 31st Raw review. It will be here in Houston, and you know we got our tickets. So, I look forward to doing that review show with you. I look forward to continue everything that's going on with the podcast here going forward into the future. Great things are happening every day, every week, and will continue to happen every month, as you guys know. So, as you know, I like to say, guys, don't have a good day. Have a great day.
Yeah, guys, that is true. If you only have a good day, Rocky will hunt you down because it's required you have a great day. So those of you who thought you were just going to go through the day and be like, you know what, today's a good day. Well, you better look over your shoulder, okay? Because Rocky T is coming for you. He will make sure you have a great day. Okay. So I don't know where the hell I'm going with that. But yeah, look, just like I told a previous emailer, when you are going to Raw, Rocky T, you're going to have to remind me again. My brain is mush. Okay. I've got 400 things going on. And it's not that my life is more important or more busy than anybody else, but we all know how things are with life. Keep reminding me. Say, hey, don't forget. Yeah, we're doing the Monday Night Raw review. Again, guys, we record on a Tuesday, so it'll be the day after we record, and then I'll publish it that night. So Rocky T's been on the show before, as you know. We've co-hosted a couple of times, and is just one of the geniuses of our WrestleMagic. Of course, we have others. Michael Gross included, Maverick, and of course we have Memphis Mark, who is just an absolute asset to the show. And shout out to all of them who are just so good at what they do. And but yes, you got to remind me, please. But you're locked in, yes. For as of this moment, you are locked into the Raw review. I'll have to get a calendar and actually stick to it. But Roxanne Perez, yeah, look, I mean, hey, she's going through the just kind of the paying her dues thing. That's part of the process that a lot of fans don't want to deal with. They want their people they like to immediately go to the top and main event WrestleMania. And it's just like, no, like this is the part that true fans enjoy and are okay with sticking around for. It's like when your baseball team or football team or basketball team is doing crappy and you find out who the true fans are, not just the fair weather ones, when everything's going great and you get on the bandwagon and, oh, they're champion now. Let me see what they're doing. Let's get on board. No, that's easy to do. What's harder to do and what's more revealing is when you are a fan of wrestling and you stick with that person through thick and thin and support them no matter if they're on the backstage segment, they're not on the show at all, they're in a dark match, they're getting squashed, or when they're main eventing WrestleMania. And this is part of that time with Roxanne Perez. So I encourage you guys to go check out Roxanne Perez. Continue to stay tuned here for the Roxanne Perez report and or update. And do I believe, is that the end of the voicemails? I feel like, should I turn to my producer? Is that the end of the voicemails? I feel like should be looking at somebody as I'm sitting alone in this room. And I don't see anything else. That actually may be the fastest voicemail segment of the entire existence of this show, but all good. As I am going to sign off now because there's nobody left. We've done it all. And thank you to everybody for joining us here. If you want to join the conversation, mailbag at wwepodcast.com. That's mailbag at wwepodcast.com. Or call us. The voicemails, the number is in the description notes of this show. Okay. So check that out. And we can also get in contact on Instagram at WWE_podcast or on, what else? Twitter at the WWE Podcast. You can check me out there. We're the verified one. And that's probably it for me. So thank you, everybody. Go ad-free on Patreon, on Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating. And as Rocky T says, don't just have a good day. Have a great day. Talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.